well when we had a huge new staff come in this year, and you helped, you know, in the recording process and the editing process. You really knew exactly what you were doing with the equipment, so it was a huge help on staff. I would say you were, you know, probably the most experienced when it came to how to use the Pro Tools, aside from us, you know. So it was great. You were such a huge help to me.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure.
Rachel, wow, how many times were you up all night editing stories?
Just a few.
Just a couple
Just a
times?
few.
I think, I think I kind of knew in the back of my mind that when Boyd would graduate that I would want you to take over his position, which was managing the investigative reports and doing all of that, because I knew you could handle it. I knew you could handle that workload and just everything that came along with what your, you know, position entails. So when we proposed to you to take on the position, and you were kind of iffy about it because you had internships this semester, you had your thesis this semester, I was like, man, I really hope Rachel takes on this job, because I wouldn't have been able to do it. You know, I knew I couldn't stay up every Thursday editing stories to wake up at 9 to come in and record the show. So I was really happy that you decided to take on that job. You did it wonderfully. And you had so many issues with investigative reporters not getting in their stories on time, and Lisa, you're the exception, because you were never.
I was the perfect investigator.
Yeah, you were. Yeah, we never had. I don't even think you had an edit in all the stories you've done. But I know that must have been probably really annoying for you.
Well, you know, it all resolved itself in the end, and it was a really great experience. So thanks for asking me. It's a great opportunity.
No, it was really great that you took that on, and again, like I really hope that you find whatever it is that you're going to do after you graduate. I know you're going to go back to Arizona, which sucks. You're not going to be around here so much. But again, you were just a super hard worker. I could always depend on you, even at the drop of a dime, when things were late, when stories weren't filed. Just a really committed person. You totally believed in what the show was about from the get-go, so it meant a lot to me.
Thanks, guys.
Okay, Christina, when did you join? This year? Last year?
Yeah, it was in the fall. I wanted to do it in the spring, but you remember I was abroad and it was too complicated.
Right.
But I remember when you guys started up, and I remember hearing about it from like Rachel and Howard, and being like, oh, that's awesome. I'm definitely on board as soon as I get back. And I've been with it all year, and you even let me stay on this semester, even though I wasn't a full-time student. And yeah, it's been awesome. I'm glad I got to do a full year with it. I had so much fun.
Yeah, we had a couple of classes together, and when Howard was like, yeah, there's this girl, Christina, she's studying abroad. She wants to do stories from abroad. I'm like, wow, this person really wants to get involved with the show. That's awesome. But, you know, when you came back, we worked it out. We got you on air, and it was great. You were someone that really didn't need training from the beginning. Like, you were very independent when it came to anchoring your doing your headlines and everything like that. And you and Kyle made a great match on air.
Man,
whenever
I've
you
been
guys,
saying that since day one.
you guys are really good.
In the creepiest way possible too. We'd be sitting like getting ready to like record headlines. She'd be like, "Man, I'm just so happy to be sitting beside you." Just, just, you know, I think we matched so perfectly on the air and like.
Radio chemistry.
Okay, one time it got out of hand, but I'm really into the way our voices go together. That's it. Nothing more.
So thank you for always being really committed.
Well, thank
from,
you.
From even before being on staff officially.
I've told everybody here, I think you do so much work for the show, and like Howard said, I couldn't go on without you. So thank you.
Okay, Lisette. Lisette, I remember reading your application before I actually met you, and I was so impressed because usually people fill out a global current application, they're like, oh, I think news is cool, you know, but yours was like really impressive, and you had like oh, I did this and I did that, and you just seemed like such an interesting person, and I knew that it would come off on air. You were very intelligent and smart. You were, I mean, obviously you're a grad student. So how did you even find out about the show?
Well, I mean, actually on the e-news, that I saw Global Current, and I was like, huh, radio. And I mean, I've always been interested with journalism, you know, from a very young age, actually. And so I was like, radio, I mean, I've never really been involved. All right, I want to really get involved and, you know, do something, because I was also transitioning into business and, you know. And so, I mean, I think it's been really fun. I mean, I never thought I would be, I mean, even today, I mean, just going on air live, that's pretty cool. So I'm really glad I got to do it. It was a great opportunity, and it was a lot of fun to find the stories and
I
stuff.
was telling, I know you were thinking about working for like an NJ Transit or something like that, and I told my brother, he called me up, he's like, you know, I need to pass this along to my boss, I need a recommendation from Lisette to, for this job position that they're considering her for. And I was like, you know, Lisette is, if not the most dependable, like definitely one of the most responsible, dependable people that's new to the show. As an investigative reporter, I told him, you know, she's one of the best that we've got. She's never like fell back. She's never flaked out. She's never done anything less than 100% with the show. And he was really impressed by that. So I hope that everything works out. Whether that job doesn't work out, I know that you'll go far because you really went far and exceeded our expectations here with the show.
Thanks, Steph. That means a lot.
Jodo, jump on. I know we're kind of running out of time, so I want to get to Howard as quickly as possible.
Just run over.
Okay.
Sum it up in one word. Baller.
Yep.
Jodo, if I could have your talent, oh man, you really
God.
do have a.
Is my lover.
That's right. Jodo, I knew that you'd be perfect for the show. Actually, when me and Boyd and Howard were putting together the show, we just thought like, okay, people that would be awesome on it. Jodo, you know, like number one to our minds was you.
When you guys put this thing together, it was like you knew exactly what you were going after, from the how to do the show to who you were going to get, and that was the best part. I mean, you guys did a phenomenal job.
I'm really glad that we could trick you into doing this show.
I hope you always remember when you're famous one day, you just, oh, you know, I started out at SOU, and SOU has some really impressive alumni, and I know more than anyone that's graduating from SOU, not just Global Current, from SOU, that you have the most potential to go on and actually be a personality. You have the voice that, you know, like meets a lot of other voices that are out there in professional radio. And I've told you that from the beginning, and I've sat down with, like, I've had solid conversations, like, you know, dude, don't be a waste of life. Get into this, you know?
Well, I'm pretty sure that you're going to be the one who's on the national and international broadcast, so, but thank you.
So I'm really happy to hear that you're doing the journalism thing next year. And last but, of course, not least, Howard, my right-hand man. I don't even know where to begin with you, Howard, because, well, I think the show stressed you out more than it stressed anyone else out combined. Between having to deal with the producers, the writers of the show, and, I mean, really stepping up to a managerial position was, I think you really, like, learned how to deal with that. From the, you know, from having to deal with just 3 to having to deal with 5 to having to deal with, you know, doing more stuff with me and having a staff of 25 kids. It was a lot of work, and you and me definitely felt it a lot. And for sometimes I thought you felt it more, and I just always wanted to tell you it meant a lot to me that you never gave up on it, no matter how tough it was. Like, no matter how many people like called it quits or just didn't send in their stories on time. And it was just awesome that you just, like, you believed in what the show was about and training kids, and even though you're not, like, you don't have anything to do with journalism in your future, you just kept to the show so much, and I was really impressed by that, and happy that you were willing to do that for this long, extended period of time, because you've been with the show since the first demo that you and I worked on together. So when we first talked about the show, we said, you know, news sucks, let's do it the way we want to do it, and I mean, I don't know anything more DIY than that, and you were completely on board from the beginning, even though it wasn't necessarily your focus. You played it out with incredible passion and dedication, so I thank you for that, for being my best friend these past couple of years. Anyway, I think that pretty much wraps up our time. We went over about 3 minutes or something. But, so I guess this ends Global Current for this year. Raina and Heather, I know you guys aren't on air, you haven't been on air, but next year I'm going to be tuning in, and I'm going to be downloading those podcasts. So I really can't wait till see what you guys do with it in the future. And I wish I had more time
Do the tagline.
The
Do the tagline.
Your window to the world. Anyone who's downloaded our podcast, who's tuned in the morning, who's sent us emails about wanting to go on the show, who's been a part of it, thank you very much. And stay tuned for next year, because it doesn't end here. Our voices will end here, but it doesn't end here. There's going to be another team, and I'm sure that they're going to continue the show down the line, which is what this is all about. It's about training kids, it's about getting into the news, it's about caring about what's going on in the world, and doing something different for the diplomacy school at least, and not doing the Suetonian. So.